was talking to a friend at work about black people being religious in the Western religions. And the question has always been popping up in my head ever since I started questioning Christianity. Why are we as black people practicing the religions that are factually a byproduct of the very people that raped, enslaved, and pillaged our ancestors? I mean, I've always asked this question, but never had the balls to ask it towards people of my family, towards people at work. Because, well, for one, you'll probably get fired for questioning religion at work, and two, you'll probably get disowned by your family for talking about religion to your family that's so damn Christian it's beyond fucking belief. I mean, shit. I mean, here's the thing. I showed him this video about Marimba Ani discussing this whole Yurugu thing. Her book called Yurugu, I forgot the subtitle, but who cares? Everyone should know about it. At the same time, he also received a CD called My Life's in Your Hands by Marvin Chang Parkman Presents Minister J.L. Spivey. I don't know who the fuck it is. I'm surprised it's that other nigga who does this religious shit. What's his name? It was another fat guy, bald too. I can't remember. He what the fuck? Okay, never mind. So, like I said, the question pops up: should black people be Christians? Practice the religion of the people who would oppress us, people who would have us killed, and are currently causing genocide in Africa. No, I'm sorry, Akibulan, whatever you want to call it, as well as Haiti, and they're currently in Uganda right now trying to get oil under the pretense of trying to take down some guy called Joseph KONY, who might have been dead for 5 years, I don't know, but just this question. One of the reasons I bring this up is because, well, for one, our people have had religions that predate Christianity, and we didn't start delving into it until the crackers came over here in the first place. And when we became enslaved, we weren't allowed to congregate together in groups unless we were attending a church. I've heard stories where if we ever called out to our own gods, we would be punished severely for it. But we were only allowed to call out the god of their own. Which brings to the question, was religion indoctrinated into our subconscious, into the new age? Because this day and age, we've been taught that their God was the one that freed the slaves, when the truth was, as I've said in previous videos, plantation agriculture was no longer profitable because of the Industrial Revolution. Machines were much more efficient than people, so as a result, slavery was to be abolished. And of course the Americans, they could go under the pretense that, well, it was their God that freed them, as he promised 4 centuries ago. And nowadays we believe that religion also integrated us. Or I'm sorry, that's not right. It was Martin Luther King who was highly religious in the first place. And I guess some people assume that due to his religious background, that it was God, their God, that allowed racism to end in this country, even though it's still going on, just in very subtle ways. I don't know how Christianity became so venomous, became so toxic, that it's now penetrated every single culture in our world. I mean, even in Japan, where previously, during the warring states period, what's his name? Hideyoshi Toyotomi actually outlawed Christianity and prosecuted the Christians as a result. I remember, I think they said that Masamune Date actually carried a golden crucifix as a means of defying him, and they talk about an act of rape, and you know what I mean. I mean, when you think about it, Christianity was practically outlawed everywhere until it was so, the people's faiths were so strong that it just penetrated everyone's cultures. And it gives people the illusion that, well, Christianity must be superior because everyone converted to that religion over everything else. To me, that's just, stereotypical white person arrogance, but why are we practicing it? These people have done far too much to our way of lives. I mean, hell, we are afraid of who the fuck we are. This is one of the sad things. I mean, ancient Kemetic culture, which is ours, by the way, it ain't white shit. We look at ancient Kemet as a satanic ground for practicing religious worshipping Satan, when in reality it's just Horus. I mean, Heru. I don't want to use Horus because that's Greek. Really, Heru the Avenger. The Osirian drama, which was derived from the Nubian religion, I believe, or ancient Nubian spirituality, which said that Setek, or Seth, or whatever you prefer to call him, it was jealous of his brother Osar, or Alsar, however you pronounce it. You all know him as Osiris. So what he did was he killed Osar, and Osar's wife, Aset, or Isis, I should prefer, wanted to revive Osar. Setek, however, decided to take all of Osar's body parts and spread them throughout Egypt or Sudan or wherever. So Aset used her wings, flew all over the damn place, and found the body parts of her husband. The only thing she couldn't find was a penis. Yeah, I'm not joking. They called it a phallus back then. So she made an artificial one and used it to impregnate herself to create Heru. And Heru, it took revenge against his father's killer, Setek, and defeated him. But he could never kill him. And so some people say that, that Heru and Setek's fights usually explain the day and night cycle. Like every single time Heru wins a fight, it would be daylight. But when Setek rises and defeats Heru, the sun would actually set. So Set, or Setek, that's where the term sunset comes from. Because Heru is the sun, but Seth sets the sun. Or maybe that's some Zeitgeist bullshit, I don't know. Zeitgeist. How do you say all these strange ass words? I mean, yeah, I think that was implemented into the Kemetic religions with Ra and whatnot. When the Nubian Empire came around and, well, technically they saved the Kemetic Empire from Greek invasion. And they took over for a while. Because I remember some documents saying that Kemet actually came and took over Nubia for a while. And, of course, National Geographic, they made a magazine saying that the Nubians conquered the white Egyptians. I mean, the whole magazine was bullshit. But either way, we had our own shit. And hell, we had our own language. I don't know where people got this idea that black people, slaves in general, could not read or write. The truth is we couldn't read or write English! No one seems to understand that shit. It's the most insulting thing I've ever heard. Slaves knew how to read and write, but in their own shit. We couldn't read or write English. It had nothing to fucking do with being illiterate or any of that shit. That's just more propaganda. I'm sorry for that. It just pisses me off every single time I hear this thing. Okay, slaves couldn't read or write. No, that's bull fucking shit. I mean, these white folks have spread so much lies about our past, it's not even funny. Yeah, we're sitting here worshiping their fucking God. And now they just put out a film, this asshole group called Invisible Children, and saying that, oh, Joseph KONY must be stopped. He's the new Al-Qaeda! And everything else. And the only reason they're going over there is because Uganda has some oil. It's the same fucking war on terror bullshit propaganda that they spread around 10 years ago. I mean, not 10 years, it's been more than that. 11 years. Yeah, you fuck the math. All right, it's been a long ass time ago. They spread the same bullshit. They're trying the same shit. I don't give a fuck you talk about my counting skills. Shit. God damn, I'm flustered. Okay, yeah, but getting back on the track, why are we practicing this shit? Why are so many brothers? I mean, I probably already answered my own question because it was indoctrinated. I mean, people talk about this condition like post-traumatic slavery disorder. There's probably one of the reasons why, because no matter what, we seem to be afraid of these crackers. No matter where we go, we give them more respect than we do our own selves. I mean, at work, we give the white people more respect than we do ourselves. And that's a fucking shame. It's like, what are we afraid of? They just other employees and other team leaders. I mean, hell, one of the employees was actually getting in a fight with one of the black bosses. You don't see this shit with ain't them crackers. Anywho, one of my things is we need to just look at this and think hard about why we're into the shit that we are. I've actually heard a story back then that might explain why we're so nice to the white man and everything else. There's a story about a mother and his boy. I mean, a mother and her child, her boy, who were, of course, slaves. They had this barn house that all the slaves were told they'd never go into. And the boy was curious as to why he couldn't. So he decided to go out one night and try to get into the barn, but the doors were locked. So he took a rock and smashed the lock off. That's a strong motherfucking kid. Okay. And what he found inside was jars of food, healthy food, that the slaves could be fed with. I mean, that shit was packed. You could feed an army with this type of stuff. So what the boy did, he takes the food back to the slaves and said that they can all eat this type of stuff. The slaves were all confused and saying, well, where did you get this food? The boys told him he got it from the barn house. Suddenly the slaves panicked and said, the barn, Massa never told us to go into the barn. You're going to make Massa mad. And so all of a sudden the slaves started getting panicky and starting to get scared. Then what happened, they looked at the boy and they thought to themselves, if they got rid of this boy, because apparently according to them, the boy's been getting them into lots of trouble, then they would be spared from Massa's wrath. So they started looking at him with murderous eyes. What happened next was the mother took the boy and ran from the slaves that were pursuing them. The slaves were ready to kill these two. And what happened was, the mother and her child, it fell into a swamp or a moat. And they drowned. And the slaves were thinking, good riddance. One moment, hold up. Okay, before I was rudely interrupted. Shit, I got 3 minutes on the clock. These damn videos. Actually, 4 minutes if they go to 16. Anywho, like I said, the slaves, they chased the mother and child into the swamp. They drowned, and they thought, good riddance. They would never be troubled by this boy again. See, the thing was, they were so afraid of their massa that they forgot about unity. Well, considering that tribes back then didn't have unity, it's pretty much like this now. But even then, they feared their massa more than their own kin. They had no problem taking them out, as long as they didn't have to face the wrath of massa. I'm not sure if this story is true, but if it is, then it would explain why we don't think so highly of slavery as this torturous event in our life cycle. I mean, you hear about this stuff in school, but they never get into depth with this stuff. We only hear the nice side of it. And it was during this period that we had a traumatic conversion process to religion. So again, I had to ask people, why are we so damn religious? Why are we into Christianity? And why are black people starting to think that Islam is the black shit? That's another, I think I'll save that for another video. Alright, that's about it. for this one. Just think about these questions. Leave a comment, shit like that, or video response if you get pissed off.